You're welcome back to African Folktales, Stories and Jokes. African Stories, Folktales and Jokes. Today's Folktales is titled The Billionaire SUV Arrived Just After She Was Kicked Out of the Store. The Billionaire SUV arrived just after she was kicked out of the store. This is the story of Amara. Let us go. She clutched the hem of her torn dress. Her pride scattered like the broken beads from her purse. Moments ago, the store manager had screamed at her to leave, calling her a beggar in designer's rags. Shoppers stared. She walked out slowly, eyes burning with unshed tears. But just as she stepped onto the hot pavement, a sleek black SUV with tinted windows pulled up beside her. Silent, powerful, and glowing like a shadowed crown. The door opened, and what stepped out made everyone freeze. Because billionaires don't usually come looking for beggars, but this one just did. Want to hear what happened next? Keep watching and don't forget to subscribe. The girl they called worthless. The air inside the luxury store was heavy with perfume and quiet judgments. Golden chandeliers dangled like pride, and every inch of the marble floor gleamed as if it was too pure to hold the footprints of the poor. Amara knew she didn't belong. She walked in anyway. Her sandals were dusty, her handbag old and faded at the edges, and the hem of her dress was torn from the motorbike accident the day before. Still, she carried herself like a queen. Not because she had anything, but because her late mother once said, "Never let poverty bend your spine." Amara was here on a mission. Her younger sister, Mimi, had been sick for weeks. Her only pair of shoes meant for job interviews had fallen apart. Amara wanted to sell their fast-working blender and use the money to buy her sister a decent pair from this store, the cheapest pair that didn't look cheap. She had begged a bus driver to let her ride for free, and he did. She had greeted the security man at the door with a warm smile. He didn't smile back. But she didn't mind. Her eyes were fixed on a red pair of flats near the glass window. She walked toward it, ignoring the stairs. That's when she heard the whisper. "Who allowed her in? She looked like a house girl. She's even smelling of onions. My God." Amara turned slightly, trying to pretend she didn't hear them. But she heard every word, and it stabbed her pride. Still, she pointed to the shoe and asked softly, "Please, how much is this one?" The sales girl didn't answer. Instead, she looked at the manager, a thin woman with sharp eyes and too much lipstick. "Ma'am, this one is touching the display." The manager turned around sharply and scanned Amara from head to toe like she was an insect. "You," she said, "can you afford to be in here?" Amara blinked. I just want to check the price." "This is not a roadside boutique," the woman snapped. "We don't allow beggars to dirty our things." Her voice rang through the store. People stopped. Even a child holding a packet of candy stared at Amara with pity. "I'm not a beggar," Amara said, her voice shaking. "I to buy it for my sister. With what? The manager laughed cruelly. With love and promises? A few customers giggled. I said leave. You are making the place stink. Amara swallowed hard. She turned and began to walk out. Her hands trembled, her eyes blurred. But just as she stepped outside, the sound of spinning tires silenced everything. A black SUV glided into the parking space in front of the store like a royal carriage. It was long, sleek, and powerful. The kind of vehicle you don't just drive. You announce yourself with it. Everyone turned. The driver stepped out quickly and opened the back door. A man emerged. He was tall, dark-skinned, and carried the air of someone who had tasted pain and turned it into power. His grey kaftan was spotless, and his wristwatch alone could pay the store's rent for a year. His name was Dillion. He was the last person expected to show up there, and certainly not for her. His driver walked straight toward Amara. Miss Amara, he said gently. She looked up startled. Yes, my boss would like to speak with you. Your boss? She looked past him, and there he was, leaning slightly from the SUV, dressed in a white senator suit that made his dark skin glow like polished wood. The man whose face was everywhere, Dillion Ezuruike, tech billionaire, widower, known for his silence, wealth, and eyes that could freeze fire. Amara froze. Me? She whispered. Dillion stepped out completely, head turned. Even the store manager stood frozen by the glass door. Yes, you, he said, his voice deep, low, and calm. I saw everything. Amara's throat dried. You shouldn't have been treated like that, he added. The driver opened the door and Dillion gestured. Please, ride with me. Amara stepped back. Sir, I don't understand. I didn't do anything. I only came for... You came for shoe? He interrupted. But you walk out with dignity instead. She hesitated. People were watching. Whispers surrounded them like smoke. She felt small, confused, ashamed. Sir, are you sure you meant to call me? He smiled faintly. Yes, and you don't have to call me sir, unless you want to. Sometime inside her broke. Not from pain, but from shock. She stepped into the SUV. The leather seat swallowed her like a warm hug. The moment the door closed, the noise of the world disappeared. It was just her and him. Dillion leaned back and studied her. You don't know me, do you? She shook her head slowly. That's good, he said, because it means you see my heart before my name. Amara blinked. Why are you helping me? He looked away for a moment and said, because once I needed help too, and nobody looked my way. But more than that, I watched you. Watched me? She asked, confused. I was across the road. I saw how you walked in, how you stood your ground, how you didn't let shame bury your reason. That kind of courage is rare. Her voice was low now. Courage doesn't, her voice was low now. Courage doesn't feed my sister, but it may change both your lives, he replied. The car began to move. She was shaking slightly. Her phone buzzed. It was Mimi, her sister, calling. She didn't answer. How old is your sister? Dillion asked. 17, Amara whispered. She wants to become a lawyer, like her mom. He smiled. I can help. Amara stared at him. Why me? She asked again, tears finally spilling. Why choose a girl everyone calls worthless? Dillion turned to her, and this time his gaze softened. Because sometimes, he said, it's the world that's blind, not you. And as the SUV drove off, the same people who laughed now stared with open mouths. The beggar girl had just been carried away by a billionaire. But what none of them knew was that he wasn't just going to change her story. He was going to become part of it. Please subscribe. The SUV stopped before a glass tower of wealth and wonder, the most luxurious shopping mall in the city. Amara sat frozen, staring at the dazzling building that looked more like a palace than a place to buy shoes. Are we here to pick someone up? She asked softly, afraid of the answer. No, Dillion said with a warm smile. We are here for you. She blinked. Me? Yes. You said your sister needs shoes. And you too. So let's get what you both deserve. Her hand shook on her lap. But this place is too expensive. I don't even belong here. Amara, he said calmly, his voice like velvet. You belong wherever you have the courage to walk into. Come. She hesitated, but he was already stepping out and offering his hand. The moment she followed him, people began to stare. Not at Dillion, he was known, but at her. This girl in a tattered dress and tired sandals. Dillion ignored the whisper. They walked in, his presence scattering the whoosh like thunder. The attendants rushed forward with bright smiles and stiff backs. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. The head manager bowed. She's with me. Dillion said simply, she'll like anything she needs. Anything. Yes, sir. The chorus, now turning their best smiles toward Amara. Still stunned, Amara went first to the shoe section. She found a red pair that reminded her of the ones from earlier. But these were shinier, neater, finer. She looked at the price tag, 145,000 naira. Her legs gave way. She took 2 steps back. No, this is not real. The floor under her feet seemed to disappear. She turned and fled. The glossy marble was like oil beneath her sandals. She slipped. The fall was loud. Her knees hit the floor. Her paws flew open, spilling a pen, old tissue, and 2 small cubes of seasoning. People gasped. She started crying. Why? Why did I come here? Someone called security. A voice muttered. She might be a mad woman. or a fraud, another hist. These days, even criminals dress like victims. But before shame could crush her completely, warm hands lifted her. It was him. Dillion knelt beside her, one arm around her back, the other gently wiping her tears with a silk handkerchief. Shh, he whispered. You are okay. You didn't do anything wrong. I brought you here, remember? Her voice cracked. I don't belong here. You belong anywhere. I stand beside you. He helped her up, slow and sure, and with the quiet authority of a man who was never questioned, he turned to the galling crowd. She's my guest. From this moment on, treat her as you will treat me. And just like magic, the eyes that once pierced her now blinked with admiration. The mouth that mocked her now smiled wide. Sales girl lined up with trays. A security guard offered her cold bottled water. Someone cleaned the floor. The store came alive for her. Amara was in a daze as Dillion gently nudged her back inside. I will help, he said. Let's shop together. They moved from section to section. Every time she reached for something modest, he replaced it with something finer, softer, more expensive. She picked a 12,000 naira bag. He swapped it with a 320,000 naira designer one. She chose a simple gown for Mimi. He added 2 more from a foreign collection. Even when she tried to stop him, he simply smiled. You suffered enough for 10 lifetimes. He said, let life spoil you for once. Let life spoil you for once. The attendants bowed as they walked. Other shoppers, well-dressed ladies in heels and human hair, watched Amara with wide eyes. Some even greeted her. One whispered, is she a princess from some oil-rich country? She must be a billionaire's fiancée. Another guessed. Amara was stunned. Hours ago, she was being chased from a store. Now people wanted to be her. By the time they reached the cashier, the trolley had to be replaced 3 times. Gowns, shoes, handbags, jewelry, perfumes, laptops, skincare products, even Mimi's dream school bag, all were carefully packed. Dillion stood beside her as the cashier whispered the total. 7 million naira, sir. He nodded without flinching and brought out his phone. With a few taps, the transaction was done. Amara's mouth still open when Dillion turned to her. And this. He showed her his phone again. It's 1 million for you and Mimi for feeding, health, peace of mind. Her knees weakened again, but this time he caught her before she dropped. Thank you. Thank you. I don't even know what to say. She whispered, tears sliding down her cheeks. Say nothing. Dillion said, just go home. Safe. He didn't follow her out. Instead, he commanded one of his convoy's SUVs, a long tinted bus, to take her and the packages home. Two well-dressed guards helped her into the vehicle, speaking to her with soft respect. Amara stared at her reflection in the car window as the mall faded behind them. She didn't recognize the woman staring back. Her rags were still on her, but her soul was something new: dignity. As the bus drove through the city, she clutched her new bag tightly and kept checking her phone screen. The 1 million naira was still there. It was real. So was the change in her life. Please subscribe. The girl who went out in rags and returned a millionaire. The SUV bus poured down the road like royalty on wheels, smooth and sandless. Inside, Amara sat in stunned silence, cradling a gift bag on her lap like it might vanish if she blinked. Her fingers trembled slightly. She'd never been this close to wealth, and now it was all hers. The driver, a neatly dressed man in dark shades, kept stealing glances at her through the rear view mirror. Not out of disrespect, but out of curiosity. He, too, had seen her walk into that mall with torn clothes and cracked slippers. And now she sat like a queen, her arms surrounded by luxury bags with bold names even the driver couldn't pronounce. She wanted to cry, to scream, to laugh, but none of the emotions could form a proper sound. They tangled in her throat, leaving only quiet, stunned breathing. Her phone vibrated. Mimi. She picked up. Amara, you've gone for us. Are you okay? Where are you? You said you were just going to look at shoes. I got them, Amara whispered, voice shaking. I got them, Mimi. I got you more than just shoes. What do you mean? Mimi asked, confused. How? From where? Amara looked around at her bags, at the script's 1 million naira alert still glowing on her screen, at the chill bottle of water beside her hand, offered with quiet respect just a few minutes ago. God did something today, Mimi, she said. I think I met an angel. The driver turned slightly. Ma, we are close to your house. Should I help carry the bags in? She nodded slowly. Yes, please. When they pulled into our street, the neighborhood children gathered instantly. It was impossible to ignore the massive black SUV with a sleek logo and tinted windows. Some shouted, Big Madam don't come oh. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains. Others came outside fully. And there was Mimi, standing barefoot at the door, blinking in confusion as the SUV parked right in front of their gate. Amara stepped out slowly. Her feet were still in the same old sandals, but her presence had completely changed. Heads turned, mouths dropped open. The driver and a security escort began unloading the bags, dozens of them. Perfume, clothes, makeup, shoes, hair products, laptops, gadgets, grocery supplies in gold foil wrappers, things that look like they came from another world entirely. The neighbor watched as the gifts piled up. Is she marrying a governor's son? Maybe she won lottery. I heard she used to go and wash clothes for the rich people. One of them must have finally noticed her. Amara ignored the whispers. She walked up to her sister and handed her a shopping bag. Mimi opened it and gasped. A golden necklace sat gently on top of a folded silk dress, her favorite color. Amara smiled, tears finally spilling. You don't need to go for any interview barefoot again. We are never begging again, Mimi. Never. Mimi covered her mouth. Amara, what happened? Amara sat her down inside. Sit, let me tell you everything. She told her the story, every unbelievable details, from being kicked out of the store, to Dillion Ezurike showing up in an SUV, to falling on the floor in embarrassment, to being held like she mattered. And then he told them all that I was with him, she whispered. Mimi's eyes were wide with awe. Are you sure he's not trying to play a trick? No, Amara said, shaking her head. He didn't ask for anything. He just wanted to give. I don't even know why. A smile played at Mimi's lip. Maybe because God finally said it's enough. You've cried enough, Amara. They both fell silent, overwhelmed. Hours passed. Amara changed into one of the new gowns. It wrapped around her like a second skin, hugging her frame softly and making her feel like she had a right to dream again. She sat by the window, sipping orange juice from a glass cup for the first time in years. Then her phone buzzed again. 1 million naira received from Dillion Ezurike. Amara screamed. Mimi rushed out from the room. What? He just sent me another 1 million naira. Mimi sat down on the floor, speechless. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The air in their room apartment felt different, lighter, hopeful. But a part of her was still afraid to believe it. What if this is a dream? She whispered to herself. What if I wake up and be poor again? She clutched the phone to her chest. If this is a trance, God, please, let me stay asleep. But it wasn't a dream. It was just the beginning. By morning, pictures of Amara walking beside Dillion Ezurike were already circulating on gushing blogs. Some headlines read, Unknown lady shut down luxury mall with billionaire escort. Who is the mystery woman Dillion took shopping? From rags to royalty. Is Dillion in love? Amara didn't know her life was about to change forever. All she knew was this. She stepped out in rags, with shame burning through her soul. But she came back wrapped in glory, blessed, celebrated, and speechless. And deep down, she feared nothing more than waking up. Please subscribe. Amara. Please tell me again. Mimi whispered in the dim light of the room, her voice trembling slightly. Amara sighed softly and turned to face her younger sister. I've told you, Mimi, over and over. I know, but I still don't understand. Mimi sat up on the mat, hugging her knees. What did you say happened at the mall? Who was the man again? What's his name? Why did he give you all these things? What did he want from you, from us? Amara looked into her sister's eyes, saw the fear, the disbelief, the hunger to make sense of something so widely unbelievable. His name is Dillion Ezurike, she said quietly. You've probably heard of him. He's a billionaire, owns tech companies, hotels, everything. He saw me being insulted at his store earlier in the day. I didn't know he was watching. He sent his driver, then took me shopping. That's all. Mimi stared at her, still looking unconvinced. No strings attached? She asked. He didn't ask you for anything? Not even your phone number? Amara shook her head. Nothing. He just said he once needed help too, and no one gave it to him. That was it. Mimi's eyes dropped to the bags lining the wall of their late mother's room. Perfume boxes, shoes, jewelry, and clothes so fine they shimmer in the low bulb light. You are telling me a man saw you on the street, took you shopping, spent 7 million naira and gave you another 1 million just like that, and another 1 million just like that? She asked slowly, her tone more fearful than amazed. Yes, Amara whispered. That's exactly what happened. Mimi bit her lip and looked away. It doesn't make sense. Things like this don't happen to people like us. Even the shoe he bought for me, she pointed. I didn't even touch it. Look at it. That's not a shoe for someone going to apply for a sales girl's job. Amara chuckled weakly. It's beautiful though. I'm not getting married, Amara, Mimi said, suddenly serious. That shoe looks like it belongs to a bride. Amara's smile faded. I didn't choose it, he did. He kept saying I deserved more, that we both did. They both fell into a long silence. The air was heavy, not with it, but with disbelief. They had only touched one thing since returning home. The takeaway food he'd ordered for them. Fried rice, grilled chicken, and a fancy bottle of apple juice. They ate slowly, barely tasting it, afraid even the food was part of some strange dream they'd wake from. Afterward, they sat by the window, watching their street grow quiet. Mimi, Amara whispered, do you think people will try to rob us tonight? Mimi didn't answer immediately. When she did, her voice was low. Half of the neighborhood saw the SUV, saw the bags. Some even helped her float them. There is a chance. They stare at each other. A quiet fear passed between them. We can't sleep here, Amara said. No, Mimi agreed. Let's go to the boys' quarters. It's safer there. The old building their mothers had left behind was large but falling apart. The main house faced the street, while the boys' quarter, once rented out, was now empty. It sat behind the house, surrounded by old walls and bushes, quiet, hidden, forgotten. They quietly packed a few of the smaller bags, locked the front door of the main house, and slipped through the narrow path that led behind. The boys' quarters smelled of dust and silence, but they felt safer there. Amara dropped the bags in one corner. Mimi wiped the wooden bench with her wrapper and sat. I still feel like we're in someone else's life, Amara muttered, settling beside her. Same, Mimi said. Do you think he's watching us? I don't know, Amara said, her voice suddenly soft. But for the first time in my life, I don't feel invisible. Silence again. Then Mimi turned to her. If tomorrow he calls again, what will you do? Amara didn't answer. They lay down on the bench, squeezed tightly together, wrapped in a single wrapper. The night was still. Crickets sang. Somewhere in the distance, a generator coughed. Amara was just starting to drift when Mimi whispered, do you think he's married? I don't know. What if he comes back? I don't know that either. They were quiet until suddenly, Amara's phone lit up, vibrating on the dusty stool beside them. Unknown caller. They both sat up, hearts racing. Amara's finger hovered above the screen. Pick it, Mimi whispered, barely audible. The call continued to ring. Amara finally slid her finger across the screen. Hello, she said, voice shaking. Silence. Then a deep, calm voice replied, Amara, I hope you are safe. I didn't want to startle you, but I needed to know you got home well. It was him, Dillion. Touched the phone tighter, her heart knocking loudly against her chest. Amara, are you safe? The deep voice repeated, slow and calm like a lullaby. She blinked, swallowing the lump in her throat. Yes. Yes. I am. We are safe. Mimi leaned in, eyes wide with shock and disbelief, trying to eavesdrop on every word. Amara held the phone away slightly so they could both hear. That's good to know. Dillion continued. I wasn't sure if your neighborhood was calm enough after what happened at the mall. I imagined some eyes would follow. Amara let out a soft, shaky breath. Yes, people stared. They stared a lot. We got home safely, but we had to move into the boys' quarters behind the house just for tonight. I understand, he said gently. I should have thought of that. I'll arrange security for the house tomorrow. You deserve to rest, not worry. Amara's eyes widened. Security? Yes. You don't need to live in fear, Amara. She was silent for a moment. So was Mimi, frozen beside her. Why are you doing this? Amara asked suddenly, the question trembling out of her chest. I don't understand any of it. You helped me. You bought things I can't even pronounce. You gave me money. You call me just to check if I'm fine. Why? There was a pause on the other end. Then he said softly, because I've known pain, Amara, and I saw mine in your eyes today. Amara felt tears pool in her eyes again. You stood there in front of that store, humiliated, but you didn't scream. You didn't curse. You didn't even try to argue your worth. That broke something in me. I didn't step in because I pitied you. I stepped in because you reminded me of someone I loved and lost. Who? She whispered. My wife, he said. Amara covered her mouth with her free hand. Mimi leaning closer, whispering without sound. She was like you. No, she was like you. Strong, silent, kind, stubborn when it mattered, he said, a faint ache in his voice. She died 3 years ago. I've never looked at another woman since then until today. Amara didn't know what to say. He continued, but I'm not asking anything of you. I only want to help you and your sister, as much or as little as you will allow. And if one day we become something more, it will be because you want it to. You want it. Mimi suddenly whispered beside her, ask him about the things. Ask him if he wants us to return them. Amara hesitated and spoke. Dillion, are we supposed to return the things you bought? There was a chuckle on the other end. Amara, no. I give them to you with my heart, not on hire purchase. They are yours. Keep them, use them, enjoy them. You are not a charity case. You are someone who deserves beauty too. More silence. Her chest was tight with something unfamiliar, something that felt like healing. Will I see you again? She asked almost inaudibly. I'd like that, he replied, but only when you are ready. For now, just rest. Okay, she said, trying not to smile. I've sent a driver to come park nearby until morning. Just in case. You won't even know he's there. He won't disturb you. He's with one of my security guard. Amara was speechless. Good night, Amara, he said softly. Good night, Dillion, she whispered. The call ended. She put the phone down gently. Mimi sat in stunned silence. So, he just called to check if you are fine and said his wife was like you and now he's sending security? Amara nodded slowly. Mimi let out a long breath. God really picked our file today. They both burst into quiet laughter, but the laughter was warm, deep, and real. The kind of laugh that comes when sorrow is finally nailed to kneel. Later that night, wrapped tightly on the bench, Mimi whispered, "What if is the one? What if is not just a helper? Amara, what if is your story?" Amara smiled in the darkness. "Then I hope," she said, "that this is the kind of story that doesn't end in tears." They fell asleep in the tiny boys' quarters, guarded silently by Billionaire's bodyguards outside the gate, surrounded by blessings they hadn't prayed for and a future they couldn't yet understand. But one thing was certain: something had begun. Before you leave the channel, please subscribe. Press the notification button so that when the rest of the story is loaded, you'll be one of those that will be first notified. The second part of this story is loading. Thank you. Bye for now.